One. Welcome back to the Old Bull and Young Calf Boston Sports Podcast. We are almost in April. It's like Christmas Eve in a way. There's a lot of really fun things starting up. But for now, we just have rumors, right? That's I think the word of the time right now when it comes to the NBA, whether our players, their health status, all of the stuff that's going on there. We have rumors about the NHL draft, right? Different things there. And then of course we have a ton of rumors with the Patriots. So we're going to touch on all that stuff today. I think the first thing we're going to touch on is the Patriots. But before we get to the Patriots, Dad, who are our sponsors today?
Yeah, so if you're in Pinellas County area in Florida and you need a therapist, William McCormick is your man. He is the best around. And up in Grafton, Massachusetts, need a protein drink to start your day. My cousin Abigail, Sip and Savor, place is amazing. And if you need a boba tea, St. Pete, Florida, Moonlight Boba. My lovely girlfriend Sidavon serving those amazing drinks along with her foe. Hit them up. And hey, if you have a small business and you want us to promote it, just write down in the comments on YouTube. We don't charge you anything. We just, bring it up at the beginning of the show to try to help you
Yeah.
out. So
Yep. A little
that's
bit of
it for now.
engagement.
And absolutely. And Matt, start us off.
Yep. So owners meetings today. New coach of the owners meetings. I think one of the common phrases I saw was that Vrabel is like a breath of fresh air compared to what we've been, kind of seeing from Mayo. I don't know if you said something you agree with, Dad. I know that you paid a close attention to those meetings and Vrabel's talks today. How do you feel about? I guess before you get anything specific, how do you feel about your first impression of Vrabel as a Patriot coach at these owners meetings?
Yeah, so there's a difference between him and Mayo. The difference is he's just more strategic about the information he gives and the way he provides it. Mayo just he couldn't help himself. He just kept basically word vomiting and giving out info that you necessarily shouldn't give out right before the draft. And Mayo is just, he's up front. He's not as buttoned down as Belichick, which is nice. He gives you tidbits, but you can't really read his cards, which is good. And he said a lot of things today that I was a big fan of, right? He had an exclusive interview with Felger. I kind of boycotted Felger and Maz since last June when Celtics won the championship, and they still found ways to talk negative about that. I just had enough of those guys, but I did want to hear this. And basically, Vrabel, he wants nothing to do with being compared to Belichick. I like that. Like he doesn't
That was a
he
big
doesn't
thing.
praise
Yeah,
Belichick.
big
Like
sticking point.
yeah, like he's like, no, I'm not on the Belichick's tree. I played for him, never coached under him. So no, that is not the case. Absolutely. And he had something else that really stuck out to me that I loved was he was asked about his offensive philosophy. And Mayo, what did Mayo say last year? We're gonna be tough. We're gonna run the ball. You know, we're gonna play action pass and we're gonna play, strong defense. Mayo was like, Vrabel basically said, yeah, well, back then I had Derrick Henry, who was probably the best running back in the league. So we catered our offense around that. We do not have Derrick Henry, so we will not be catering our offensive game around the run. He didn't say our strength now is Drake May, but he might as well have. I mean, if you're not running the ball, what are you doing? You're passing it. So I love that he's not coming in there like Mayo last year. We're going to be tough. We're going to run it down people's throats and play action and stout defense. Nope. He said we're going to be a passing team because he recognizes his strength. So I absolutely love that about him because people were concerned about that because in Tennessee they were a run first team by far, and they just try to beat you that way. And you don't beat anybody. Well, I shouldn't say that. You don't win Super Bowls in today's NFL being a run first team.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that stood out to me, and it goes back to what you said, not oversharing, right? And if not word vomiting on us. And they asked him about the running backs, right? And he just said that they would like to add a running back, but the 1-2 punch they have now is good. I feel like that's not a Mayo answer. Mayo might have brought up, Ramondre's fumbles. He may have, hinted at what round they were going to draft a running back in. Different things that it would be nice as a fan to know, but from a strategic standpoint, is not great. And he touched on even Cole Strange, right? Shifting Cole Strange to the center, maybe either guard position. So giving us stuff and things to think about without divulging too much to competition, and also without making promises, right? He didn't say that Strange is going to be starting at this or that. He's going to try him in different things, and all of that stuff. Definitely like to hear it. And you talked about how abrasive he was. I actually, you didn't mention it specifically this way, but how abrasive he came off to me when they talked about his comparison to Belichick. He's like, look at the way I coach, look at the way I prepare, look at the way, different things. Do I look like Bill Belichick, or does that say Bill Belichick to you, and it doesn't? And I like that. He's kind of setting his own stake, and Mayo, I think, was doing what we saw a lot of Josh McDaniels and Matt Patricia do, where they just try and be Belichick light without the defensive mind that Belichick had and without Tom Brady, and that just doesn't work. So I like that Vrabel's making a name for himself in that way. I also think one of the bigger things that came out of this was Barmore. They mentioned Barmore, how they anticipate him returning, and Barmore, depending on what type of player we get back, might be one of the biggest additions we make this offseason because of what he can bring to this team. We did invest a lot into him. He is one of those up and coming guys. He's probably similar to a Milton Williams, or that's, I think, what we hoped. So we got to hope that he gets healthy. I mean, anything else, Dad, that was talked about that, really shone for you or shine for you?
Oh yeah. So jump to the defensive side of the ball. He was also asked, what about the defense? Basically, we've been running the same defense around here for over 20 years that Belichick started. Basically a two-gap scheme. For those of you who don't know what that is, defensive linemen on the Patriots, there are some plays designed where they are right off the bat try to do like a swing move and get around their offensive linemen, but 90% of the time they're assigned to two gap, meaning the defensive lineman literally needs to run right into the offensive lineman, engage with him, and kind of try to push him back, and then collapse the pocket, and at some point the side tried to shed him and go around him. So if you've ever wondered, why do the Patriots have such a hard time generating pressure on the quarterback? Well, that's a big reason why. They've been two-gapping forever. And Vrabel said they're not doing that anymore. Okay? They're going to more of a, guy like Barmore, Milton Williams. They're going to line up like right in the hole between the guys and try to split them right off the bat. Try to get through them. And, okay, if that guy gets pushed to the left, there's going to be another guy, another defensive lineman to the right who's supposed to fill that gap. It's more of an attacking style. So you should see a lot quicker pressure generated, and we should be able to do that with having two lockdown corners pretty well. One lockdown corner and one number one corner, because Carlton Davis is a number one corner. He's not a lockdown corner. Gonzalez is, which is why also we get, Travis Hunter to play third downs. Holy cow, like we've talked about. So look for a much more aggressive north to south defense by the Patriots, as opposed to east to west. Reading the play, not leaving your lane. We don't want that quarterback running. You leave your lane and the quarterback runs up that lane, you're going to get benched. Well, those days are gone, and it's going to be a much more attacking style defense, which I love to hear. Basically, we're scrapping what Belichick did for 25 years here.
Yep. And Jeff Unknown, he said, I'm here, but I'm doing some work in the garage. Have to put a motorcycle away, so I might be quiet for a bit. I didn't know they allowed motorcycles in Canada. It's way too cold up there. That's crazy. What if you how many?
You get like a 1 week out of the year you get to ride it? That's about like having a pool. What are you going to do with that?
He's probably dodging a moose left and right. There's just moose everywhere in the road. Moosei. I don't know. But yes.
Those moose are huge too, because I tell you, if you're about to hit a moose and you're driving a car going 40, you might as well swerve and hit a tree.
Yeah.
You probably have a better shot of surviving the tree if it at least is rotted and it crumbles. Because the moose, you're just dead, basically.
Yeah. So that's it's now I'm actually nervous, Jeff. If you go down, that's like half of our fan base. So be careful, man. I was hoping you drive like a big like Chevrolet, like Chevy truck, but it's okay. So I'm excited. That's why he said I have two of them, a Honda Shadow 750 and a Honda Rebel 500. Okay, that's really bad news if they're Hondas. I was hoping for like a Harley Davidson, like, you know, nothing fancy like a Honda. So he's
Hey,
making
hey,
the
hey!
loud
Take
noise.
it easy on Honda. I own a Honda Civic. Okay, that's my baby.
I
Thing's
know, but the
almost paid
problem is the
off,
Hondas are
and
more
like
dangerous. Honda's
runs amazing.
Shadow 750. Okay, that's
Mm.
kind of an old man bike. Sorry, Jeff. Honda Rebel 500. Uh,
Don't
there's a
listen to
crotch
him, Jeff.
rocket.
Absolutely
Uh,
not.
both of those are old men bikes, so that's okay, Jeff. I guess you can kind of own one of those. We get about 8 months of riding in a season. I'm sure it's beautiful up there
Is,
too.
is he trying to sell us a dream there? I don't know if I
Yeah.
buy that because in Worcester, Mass, it's 8 months of cold and gray, and it's hard to ride a motorcycle during that time. Never mind Canada, but if he
Well,
says so, I don't
listen,
know.
he's got an extra motorcycle. We go up there, and he's got one for us. So heck
Yeah.
yeah, kudos to you, Jeff.
So we got that Matt with the defense, which I loved, and what else was there that Vrabel said?
Well, he talked about the
Oh
tackles in the
goodness,
draft, right? He talked about Caden Robinson getting a
yes,
chance. He talked about Vridian Lowe getting a chance, and he also talked about adding from the draft, right? These are all mature, I guess, coach level answers where he's not saying
yeah,
Vridian Lowe's the guy or Caden Robinson, Caden Wallace is a guy. So
yep,
I did like that, right? He left the door open. He also shows that he's aware that these guys might not be the answer. He touched on Campbell and Membao. Talked about how these are two talented players. It's good. I mean,
yeah.
it's like we're getting less information, but that's kind of what we needed to get back to. The shadow is my dad's. Yep.
That is true. That was back in my day. So here's another piece of information that was discovered today, and Elliot Wolf being interviewed. More proof, more evidence that that man needs to be fired as soon as possible. Because it was brought to his attention that Will Campbell not just has short arms, he has the smallest wingspan in the last 25 years of any tackle ever drafted. No tackle has ever been a starter or even made an all-star game, all-pro game, anything like that, that has the same wingspan as Will Campbell or shorter. You know what Elliot Wolf said? Oh,
What do you
interesting.
say?
I did not know that.
Oh, are you serious? He actually said that? Oof,
He actually said, interesting, I don't know that.
that's crazy.
I mean, if you need more proof that that guy needs to be fired, I mean, what? There you go. Like that's how you draft Will Campbell at number 4 by not knowing that piece of information. I don't
I
think the
mean,
Patriots are going to do that. That would be a complete disaster. You want Will Campbell, you better trade down middle of the first round and get him there. Like I don't want anything to do with that. Like
seriously, and
I
I
love
think
that
that's
kid's
the thing.
toughness,
Like you
but
mentioned, his shoulders are very narrow. I think if Will
yeah,
Campbell tried to hug my son, his fingers would be about this far apart. He wouldn't be able to get him around my 7-year-old son because that's how short this guy's arms are. His shoulders are probably
yeah,
the same length, width as ours. When it's just not supposed to be that way, guys. Like if you're
yeah.
an NFL left tackle, you need some exceptional genetics, and this guy does not have them. I think again he'll probably be an all-pro guard. I don't see him being that high level of a tackle, but I mean, stuff's going to come out. A lot of stuff from the owner meetings for other teams about, I think it was the Browns team saying you don't want to reach for a quarterback, yada yada. I mean, it's all over the place. Everyone's playing their mind games right now, but man, am I hopeful two quarterbacks get taken early because I do not want to see uh, what we have left. If Hunter and Carter are gone, I'm super nervous.
I say it all the time. Death, taxes, and the New York Giants screwing over the New England Patriots. I'm telling you, they're gonna take Hunter. I just have this feeling in my gut. Those jerks are gonna screw us once again, like they did in those damn Super Bowls, and they're gonna end up taking Hunter, and we're gonna be scrambling trying to trade back. You know, I mean, it's just really if we can't find a decent trade back and Carter and Hunter are gone, holy cow! I don't. And if Carter drops to 4, we should be able to get a good trade back, right? Because that's a different story. Now that you're talking about one of the two blue chip, I I just don't want Carter. We've already invested too much in the defensive line. We have too many glaring holes. If Carter slipped to us at 4 and we don't take him, that's still good because if, like you said, Hunter and Carter are gone and Ward's gone, and all that's left is a crappy quarterback, Sanders that, Shador Sanders that no one really wants, people probably they're not going to probably want to trade up for that. So if we trade back, we'll be lucky to get probably a third round pick, which is garbage, to trade from number 4 even back to like. I mean, you trade back to 10, you should get like a second round pick, and that's still not great. Remember, San Francisco gave up 3 first round picks to go from the 12th pick to third to get Trey Lance. Remember that. So I just want the Patriots to drop down, I don't know, 6 to 10 spots and pick up an extra second rounder, which I don't think is unreasonable. So, but I just think Hunt is going to be gone, and
We got Mike Cutler in
if
here.
Mike fell up,
Mike, we have said this over and over. We talked about the draft, and of course, we're so far away from the draft actually being here. But for me, I really just want super talented players, and Abdul Carter is a super talented player. So the one thing I will say is that there's not many teams that are going to want to get Carter because not many teams are a Carter away from contention within a reasonable pick of the Patriots, right? I mean, like I'm maybe the Cowboys, maybe the 49ers, but they're I think, man, like they're in like the low tens, right? 11, 12. But the Bears are gonna want offensive line. The Panthers, I don't know what they're like. Do you really think the Giants will risk their jobs with the quarterbacks they have now? Mike, I've read that a lot, right? Because
point.
Dable and the GM after the hard knocks they had last year, I don't think it gets any more embarrassing. It's the reason why nobody wants to do hard knocks now. Do they really say we're going to risk it all on Russell Wilson? Because if you get Shedeur Sanders, there's at least hope. It's like, well, let's give him another year with Shedeur after Dable's kind of developed him behind Russell Wilson. If you don't take a quarterback right now and Russell Wilson does not plan out, you're already putting yourself a year behind. You at least have some shadow of a hope if Shedeur is taken. So that's a good point, Mike.
That is a great point, Mike. And I mean, you can make a case too that even if they take Sanders, if it's not a completely successful year, Dayball's gone as well anyway. So he might already see the writing on the wall and basically be like, well, I have to win. I have to, you know, have close to a winning season to save my job. But yeah, I mean, he'll be gone midseason. If he doesn't draft Sanders and they go with Russell Wilson and they're like, I don't know, 2-7, he'll probably be gone like before the season even starts. So, I mean, that's the key is to have both those quarterbacks go before us. And we're guaranteed to either get Hunter, which is my plan A, which is what I want. I want to get Hunter. And if Carter drops to plan B, again, I think we can trade back a few spots and get something really good, like a high second round pick, because he is
Mike,
possibly the best player
I
in this draft. I'm
we
telling
haven't
you.
really heard Mike's takes on the draft, right? I don't think he was here for the draft show. Mike, do you have anybody in mind? If Carter's there at 4, are you trading back? If Hunter's there at 4, are you taking Hunter? Or are you trading back? How do you feel there at 4, Mike? Is there nobody you like, or are you still on the tackle train? I'm not too sure. Would love to get your opinions there. Anything else while we wait on Mike for the Patriots, Dad? That or football. How about this? The tush push. What's your take on them trying to ban it? If you were in those meetings and you had a vote, how would you vote against that tush push?
I don't think it's right. It's up to the rest of the league to find a way to stop it. I don't see why it should be outlawed. It's an injury risk. No, there hasn't been. There hasn't been. It looks like it's something that could cause an injury, but I don't know. I don't agree with that. I feel like we can't stop it, so let's vote to get it, removed. I don't like that one bit. So no, but I just want to remind people, and I said this point last week. Travis Hunter, 90% of his practice reps and film study went to him being a cornerback. He devoted 10% of his practice reps and 10% of his film study to be a wide receiver, and he still had almost 100 catches, almost 1,300 receiving yards, and a bunch of touchdowns. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind. How good, think about how good Hunter could be if he focuses solely at receiver, and then on third down, throw him in a cornerback,
All right. I
in
love
close
it.
games. In close games.
You should have had Mike on
He
with
would
you
take
for the
both.
draft podcast because Mike knows his stuff. He's taking Carter or Hunter. Mike wants to see high level, high talented players. He knows that really no matter who we take here, we're not going to win the Super Bowl next year. So he wants to see some blue chip prospects. And these are the two blue chip prospects. So I like it, Mike. My dad doesn't want to see Abdul Carter, even though I keep sending him highlights of Abdul Carter being a game wrecker at Penn State for pretty much the entire time he's been there, no matter what competition he faced. And popping off the screen with the shoulder injury, my dad's like, "No, I don't want Micah Parsons in here. No, thank you. I don't like watching Micah Parsons play." I'll tell you one thing.
Well, I tell you what. I'll tell you what, Mike Cutler. If we do draft Carter, I hope we can trade Keon White and get like at least a third round pick for him. Because I'm telling, we can't. We'll have too much. We can't keep all five of them on the field at once. First of all, you're basically telling the other team we're blitzing if you have five pass rushes on the field. Okay, so great. In those situations, you're going to get a great pass rush, but you're going to be a sieve against the run. So it better be third and long.
You're not going to be a sieve against the run. Carter's great against the run.
Man, I'm talking about third down. If we have our five pass rushes in there, I'm telling you, we're not going to be able to hold up against the run. Anything third and 5 or less, we're going to just give it up on a run play. So I'm just saying we have an overabundance of defensive linemen, and there's so many gaping holes everywhere else. The good news is if Carter falls to 4, he has tremendous value. We can trade back and get a high second round pick and probably a third round pick too for someone who, wants to move up and get that impact player. I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have if we do have Carter.
Yeah.
Man, now you're talking a really nasty defense. But again, now when are we getting our left tackle? 38? I mean, there's already not many great left tackles as it is. So by the time we get to 38, I mean, what's going to be left? So
that's the thing. There's a lot of those kind of tackles in this draft. There's a lot of tackles that can go in the 20 and 30 range, and I think you keep forgetting that. You have the Banks, you have the Ohio guy, you have the Memba. There's a lot of tackles in this draft. There's no Joe Alt in this draft, right? But there's plenty of guys that you could actually look for in those later selections. So I think we should move on. 23 minutes. Let's talk about the Bruins. Okay, this is a weird time. So Bruins fans, if you're also a Patriots fan, this should be a comfort spot for you. Wait, really quickly, Steve, wouldn't you take the best player at 4, even if it was Carter? Mike, my dad is like, he's trying. He has these made up situations in his head, and I get what he's saying about we can only start so many, you can only play so many rushers. But when you're this high in the draft and there's 2 blue chip prospects, I feel like you have to take talent because this team's so void of talent. I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see.
Mike, if we didn't invest in Landry and bring him on a 3-year deal, and listen, Carter's going to be better than Landry. I'm not saying he's not, but Landry is a double-digit sack guy pretty much. He gets 10 sacks every year. He's not going to be what Carter is, but we invested a new contract, bringing Landry in for 3 years, and it's like, what are we going to do? We got Keon White, we got Barmore, we got Milton Williams, and we even get this Chase on guy also that is a good third down pass rush specialist. So it's just, you're right. You're not wrong, Mike. You're not wrong, Matt, for wanting to get the best player at 4. But I'm saying if you can get a decent haul of picks, to me, the sweet spot is dropping to around 13 to 15. Because I feel like at 13 to 15, either Banks Jr. is going to be there or who's the Ohio kid? The Ohio State kid.
Oh, I can't blanking on him. I don't know. I forget his name. Simmons. Yep.
Josh Simmons. I feel like one of those two are going to be there between 13 and 15, right? Grab that guy there.
So
now you have 2 second rounders, and you can get your wide receiver and even get another left tackle for backup here.
So let's move on to the Bruins, right? So we got Jeff Unknown here. Do we have our sights set on anybody for the Bruins to hope for? We do, right? So I really like the Desnoyers kid, Desnoyer. To your point, Steve, trade White. Yeah, we'd love to trade White. So before we get into draft specific players, Jeff, I think it's important to tell Bruins who they need to be rooting for. And if you're a Bruins and a Patriots fan, you should be used to putting on the tank, drill sergeant uniform and getting in the tank and cheering for some other teams to win. And this kind of sucks, but this is where it's at. So right now, the Bruins are seventh worst record in the AHL. They can feasibly get as low as 4. Fourth place is possible for them. And once you're in fourth place, your odds go up even higher to get to that 1, 2, and 3. But you're, fingers crossed, right? So tonight we have the Kraken. The Kraken are our team. We have the same amount of games as them. They are playing a very bad Predators team. The Kraken will hopefully win this game. So we're rooting for the Kraken tonight. Outside of that, nothing big. Tomorrow, we got Buffalo. We need to root for Buffalo to win, the Kraken to win, and the Flyers to win. Also, the Penguins to win. Those are the 4 teams.
The Bruins to lose.
Yes, and of course, the Bruins to lose. And as much as that sucks, that's the reality of it. I will say that the Bruins, they do face some teams that are kind of in, contention for the playoffs, so they should be pushing. The Sabres, sadly, they're also facing a lot of tough teams. They have a few games against Florida, the Maple Leafs, teams that are going to be jockeying for position.
But Buffalo's been kind of hot lately. So maybe they're putting it together, the young players, and maybe they're starting to put it together for, a run next year. Buffalo's been good lately. And things have been so bad for the Bruins that even my super diehards have given up. Kevin Breon, Drew Gordish, Anthony Williams, even there, I'm like, guys, you're not rooting for them. Well, no, I'm not. They don't want to. Guys, remember we were pounding the tank drum to get Drake May or to get Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams? We're like, just get in the top 3, damn it. And we had people still pushing back. You don't do that. You root for the home team no matter what. You root to win, blah, blah, blah. Can you imagine if we won one more stupid game that year and we didn't end up with Drake May? How disastrous is that? So, folks, I'm sorry. Supposedly there's 7 blue chip NHL prospects coming out. It is crucial we stay in the top 7. The higher we get, the better. Okay? To me, you're not a real fan if you're rooting for Bruins win still, because you're rooting against their future. The season's over. They can't make the playoffs. It's about being garbage to get the best pick possible. And again, we're going to be picking high in round, the other rounds too. That's important. And more of a chance to get Sweeney the hell out of here. Sacco's already going to be gone. There's no way they're bringing him back. So people, don't be dumb. Root for the Bruins to lose and these other teams to win. Because, man, if we can get to the 4th spot, that's a pretty damn good place to be.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, it's coming down to some of these later games of the seasons almost being like the Stanley Cup for us, because we're going to be playing the Penguins, right? And we need to lose to that Penguins team that would be 2 games left to go. We're going to be playing the Buffalo Sabres on April 6th. Major game. Circle that on your calendars. We got to hope we lay an egg. The only good thing about those games is we are away, even though for some reason, I think we actually play better away. Is that true? I'd have to double check.
No, we're terrible.
We're terrible away?
Terrible road team. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Terrible. Oh, yeah, we're 11-23. So the good news is that we're away for those games. And
we get a real shot at that number 4 pick. Real shot.
Yeah. And, we talked about, like Jeff talked about the players, and there's a lot of centers in the top of this draft. And of course there probably is, because when you're a stud player like these guys are, more often than not, you're going to gravitate towards like that center position. You're going to, it's like playing shortstop when you're the best, but ultimately you might end up playing something else. So I don't know how many true centers are in this draft, and we're going to spend a lot of time on diving into these players. There's 4 true centers in that top 7.
There's 4 good centers in the top 7. Blue chip athlete. 4. So that's all you got to do, baby. Finish 4th, no worse than 4th. Hopefully the lottery is even better to us and we get, the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd pick. But if we at least stay where we are, 4, we're good. One of those 4 centers is going to slip to us, and
Yeah,
there's
I
our
mean,
future number one.
luckily there's a defenseman called Matthew Schaefer. Great
Yeah,
first name.
let
And
him
he's
go.
supposed to be like the guy in this draft. Everybody has him mocked to go number one. The next up is the center for his name's Michael Misa, 6'1".
Misa,
Yeah,
yeah,
184 compared to
love
John
to get him.
Tavares. Would absolutely love to get him. 110 points in 52 games. And I think this is actually out of date. I think he's done a lot more points since then. James Higgins from Boston College, kind of on the small side, 5'10", 177. For me, the Caleb Desnoyer, he's 6'1",
Mhm.
178, so similar size to Misa. Would love to get either of those kids in here. Roger
Those
McQueen
3
is,
kids you just named are super skilled,
yeah,
super skilled.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
really good.
and you get to pair them with the timeline that has Minton, Patra, Lysel, who hasn't looked bad at all. Up in the NHL, and I think this team can
Matt,
become
that
pretty
that other
exciting.
kid has looked really good. The kid we got in that 3rd round pick. Who was the 3rd round pick? He keeps
Does his
scoring
name
like
start with a
crazy.
K from the Wild or?
Yeah, from the Wild. That trade. That kid's been like, I think he set a record in that league. From I saw a post recently. That kid's been really good too, and he's out of all those guys, he might even be better than Minton. Out of all those guys we got at the trade deadline, like that kid is really. I can't believe we got him. Like Pete was pissed about that because we took. Oh, it was the Avalanche trade, Matt. It was the Avalanche
Will
trade.
Zellers.
Pete
Will
was
Zellers.
Zellers because Pete was pissed we took on Middlestat's contract. I'm like, yeah, but Pete, we had no choice but to take his bad contract to get the 2nd round pick and that Zealous kid. And that kid Zealous is lighting it up down there. So, man, we got some possibly good building blocks. We just got to get Sweeney out of here so he doesn't botch this up and coming draft. And we could be back a lot sooner than we think.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And yeah, tonight you're going to be hoping that the Flyers beat the Nashville Predators, and then also the Seattle Kraken beat Dallas, which is a very tall task. But
It's not going to happen, probably,
oddly
but
enough, the
yeah.
odds are kind of in Seattle's favor. The odds are for Dallas, but it's only like minus 140 going Seattle's way.
Okay.
It's not anticipated to be a big blowout. Uh,
Maybe Dallas is sitting players. Who knows?
and one other thing we should touch on for a second. This is not a Panthers podcast, but Marchand is back with the Panthers. He assisted on a game-winning overtime goal, like he does. How how does it feel, Dad? Just seeing those headlines, seeing Marchand on the front page of ESPN in a freaking Panthers uniform.
It doesn't feel great, but I'm just glad he's back because yeah, it hurts. It doesn't feel right. It feels gross, disgusting, but we need Marchand to play half the playoff games. He's already playing the regular season games, so that's a great sign. It looks like as long as he doesn't get some type of new injury, that's going to come to fruition. And we got to hope Florida makes it past the 2nd round. It's disgusting to say that, but give me that 1st round pick. I know it's a few years away, but don't ever discount those picks. Those picks are still considered valuable, especially if if we're back to being a contender next year and, we have a chance to get a hired gun, you know, that pick could pick that player up at the trade deadline. It doesn't matter that it's a 2028 1st round pick. That holds value to a team that's selling.
Yeah, and I I agree. It's tough, but at this point, like Jeff said, we kind of have to root for the Panthers. The Panthers are also facing a lot of the. We do get to root against the Panthers towards the end of the season because we want them to lose against teams that we're jockeying for playoff positions for. So that's that one benefit. I'll throw this curveball at you, Dad, and I'm sure you probably don't even hear about this, but the Denver college hockey team beat BC. I think it was last night, 3-1, and everyone's saying this Denver coach has to get an NHL job. And I thought of you, Dad, because it's
Mm.
like, you know what? take a college coach who's overperforming, who's beating tougher competition with less guys, less caliber guys, and get him in here. And I would definitely do that. Sure, I'll take. I feel like there's a lot of names out there that would bring quite a bit of excitement from Bruins fans, and potential is big. I think for me from a coaching perspective, and it's just not something the NHL seems to do a lot. How would you feel about them taking a coach from college, Dad? Is that something you're opposed to? What do you got?
I don't know. Is his strength teaching offense? Are his teams generally high-powered offensive teams? That's what I'm looking for. Tortorella got fired. I'm seeing posts from freaking Bruins fans. Bring in get the hell out of here. Are you kidding me? You want that clown in here? Why? So we can try to win games 2-1 again and squeak into the playoffs and get once again bounced in the first round? No, people. We need to develop offensive talent. We need a guy who has an offensive system that produces scoring. That's all there is to it. Tortorella has never been that. He's a hard ass, button down your defensive zone, play tough in the neutral zone, and push the other team around guy. I'm done with that crap. No, I want Stanley Cups. Who wins the Stanley Cups all the time now? The best offensive teams in the league do, with a nice mix of defense and goaltending. But if you
Yeah,
can't score, you ain't sipping from the cup. That's all there is to it. Get Tortorella out of my face. If that Denver college coach, Matt, if his specialties offense, bring him in. I'll
listen.
take him.
No offense to Sacco, but I'm okay with the Cookie Monster taking over the coaching job at this point. I listen. Sacco
Yeah.
was Mac Jones to us, right? He's doing what needs to be done to make us
Mhm.
lose. So he's
Doing his
pulling all
job.
the wrong strings, exactly how we need him to. So I appreciate him. The fact that they're not bringing those young, talented guys who are generating a lot of points up in AHL. It's like it's almost a good thing at this point because we'd actually score more goals if they brought up Potter and all these other guys. So I guess it works out. And I will say that Denver coach, they actually beat BC in the they're having March Madness for
Yeah,
NHL
correct.
right now. So they beat BC
Frozen
in the
Frozen
Elite
Four.
Eight. They beat them in the Elite Eight, and now they're in the Frozen Four. They're against Western Michigan, Boston University, Penn State on the other side. This guy had been quoted coming out saying that he doesn't want to leave Denver, but if he wins a national title, I feel like a lot of times those coaches say, okay, well, I've kind of accomplished everything I need to.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about? BC couldn't have lost. The Bruins
Oh yeah,
first round pick from last year, Letourneau's on that BC team. He didn't single handedly beat this Denver team. Don
yeah.
Sweeney's amazing bust first round pick from last year, who had no goals in the regular season. What a shock!
Dean
Huh.
Letourneau. I don't even know if he
Did he get
played.
a goal in the playoffs? I
I
know he
don't
didn't
know
have
if
one
he
in the regular
played.
season.
It doesn't look like he's on the box
Oh my
score for this
god!
game.
Don't even
Dean,
tell me he didn't even. Was he sat? He didn't even get. He didn't even dress. That's even
I
worse.
I'd have to double check, but one thing I will say, everything you hear about is his freaking height. 6'7", super tall kid, but you know, nothing. The opposite of impressive. I was super excited about him. I think everybody was, but man, has he been a massive letdown. He's 19 years old, and you remember what Pete said, Dad? Where he played, he played for his high school. And when you're Canadian, and Jeff, maybe you can confirm this. When you're Canadian, if you play for your high school, you suck. You should never play for your high
Not
school,
good.
especially if you're going to be a first round level talent.
Yeah.
So that was not good to see. It looks like for Denver, he did play. He had 2 face-off wins, 2 face-off losses, and 1 shot. Um, he finished the
And 0
season with
points.
3 assists. Didn't have an
Oh,
assist. He didn't have a point all of March. And then prior to that, he had 1 in February and didn't have one. So he went November, December, January without a point. On a Boston College team where I am positive, if you sent my dad out there, he could have generated some points against because a lot of the times they're winning 8-0, 6-0. I mean, come on.
I know. How is he not getting points in those games? All right, let's change the subject. They're just souring my damn mood.
I mean, I don't have too much else to say about the Bruins, right? We're going to get more and more granular with their stuff. I guess the other thing that I had on the docket was the Celtics, right? And talking about their possible first round matchup. So are you cool to talk about that?
Absolutely. I mean, the Celtics are, it's dangerous for the Celtics to be here in the frozen food section because they could melt all the stuff. They are
Super
on
hot.
freaking fire. And, of course, my son doesn't get that movie, brilliant movie reference, My Blue Heaven. I mean, they've lost like 2 games in the last 2 months. It's like insane. They actually made it so Cleveland had to start winning some games again. Otherwise, the number one seed was actually in danger for a little bit. It's not anymore because Cleveland, of course, Kawhi Leonard for the Clippers. Did you see that, Matt? They said Kawhi
What?
Leonard against the Cavaliers, of course.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. And Cleveland ends up squeaking that out by 3 points. But anyway, the Celtics, knock on wood. I mean, it just healthy. Jaylen Brown's knee. I don't know if there's more to be worried about there than they're letting on, or if that's just their way of load managing him without taking any heat. Hopefully, that's not a concern. If it is a concern, Brown should not be playing for the rest of the regular season. And and not even he doesn't even need a warm up game or two for the playoffs because our first 2 rounds should technically be preseason games for the Celtics. Those they should be sweeps. I mean, I guess you could one game I'll allow. One game if the other team is just like kind of Miami last year. Remember Miami like set the franchise record for 3-pointers made in that one game where all
Yep.
those bums like just could not miss. I guess if that happens, I'll give up. But the Celtics should go 8-0 the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. 8-1 at the worst.
Yep. And I mean, so just looking at it, it looks like we're going to get whoever wins the 7 and 8 seed. So the 7 and 8 seed, winner of that game. Right now, that's the Magic and the Hawks. I'm trying to figure out. Whoops, I keep misclicking. It looks like we lost to the Hawks 1 game. That was the game when they didn't have 2 games we lost to the Hawks this year. One of the games they didn't have Trae Young. The first game we played back in November, we beat him by 30 points. One of the games didn't have Trae Young, which honestly hurts us whenever we end up playing against them and they don't have Trae Young because he's a defensive liability.
He's as bad as Doncic defensive wise, just as bad.
And then, of course, there's the Magic and the we split the series so far with them. We have one more game to go with them towards the end of this year. So between those 2 games, which matchup would you like as a Celtics fan?
I mean, I'd rather face the Hawks. I just feel like they're an easier matchup. Orlando has Wagner and Banchero, and they have had a history of giving us some trouble, but they don't have the brother, that annoying brother who's a cheap shot artist.
Yep.
And just seems to have the greatest game of his lives against the Celtics only. And they're missing Suggs too, I think. I think Suggs is out for the year as well. I think that Pope, who's a free agent?
Kentarius Caldwell Pope. He's kind of fell flat.
I was gonna say he hasn't worked out the way that they hoped for them. So I'm not either one of those. We should absolutely curb stomp. So, Kurt Ramsden. What does Kurt have to say?
We got to circle back for Kurt. And just to start off, it looks like this is Pete's burner, not Kurt. This looks like Pete's alt account. Hey, sorry for the bad day. Hope you're all well. I hate the bees. That's something Pete would say. Go Marshy, fire Sweeney and Neely. What do my favorite sports guys think of the torpedo bat? Bees going to pick up torts. So torpedo bat. I don't know if did you hear that controversy about the bat?
Oh, yes. No, of course. And you know what I say to that? Get the bat. Don't cry to have it banned. Go get those bats. If I'm the Red Sox,
if it's within the rules, do it.
If I have Amazon on super fast delivery, get me those damn bats. Okay? Don't cry about the bats. Get the bats. Okay? And then if the MLB wants to outlaw them, ban them, whatever. But don't cry. Then take them away from the Yankees. Well, no, if the Yankees got them, then get the damn bats too. Everyone should
No,
get the bats if that's the case.
no, I mean
So
it's not like it's patented. Like you should be able to do this. And but I think the sad part at this point, if you gave Devers, you guys remember those big orange bats you would play in the backyard with? If you gave Devers one of those made of wood, he probably still would suck right now. Because that's the way he's going. Everyone's
that's getting
analyzing his.
sad.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Like do you think
Mm.
of course Kurt talked about the bats, and for me, again, all is fair if it's within the rules. I like to see. I don't mind home runs. I think it's pretty cool. People innovating, I'm not against that. So bring it on. Bring it over here. The Red Sox can replicate that. Do you think Devers? Of course, it's only a few games into the season, so it's all snap judgments. Do you think he's going to get out of this, Dad? His head slump?
At some point. But Matt, I'm gonna be honest. I made a promise. We talked Red Sox. If they start looking like a major league team, they spent a little money. They didn't spend as much as I wanted to, and we were ready to cover them if they look like they were ready to be a major league team again. But they're not. 1-4. So I don't want to touch on them much. The Devers story is fascinating just because it's getting to the point where it's getting sad now. Like at first it was like people are angry, and now you just feel bad for the guy. Like holy cow. Like I mean, he just needs a fake injury or something like that. So with the Red Sox, because I've invested in the Red Sox, and I'm just so aggravated. I need to take a. I don't want to talk about him because it's just going to set
Yeah.
me off. But Kurt, we touched on a couple of these things, my friend.
Yeah, and one thing I will say is with Devers in the game on the 28th, you or I could have gone to that game and had the exact same stat line as Devers. He struck out all 4 times in all 4 at bats, no base on balls. He didn't play the field. He was so it's like this is great. Like I could have done that. You could have paid me 30 million or whatever the per game value is for that. And Kurt, we did talk about Tortorella, and my dad almost blew a blood vessel. He does not want the leftovers.
Nothing.
No.
Nothing to do with him. He is like the typical old bro. Oh, button down your defensive zone, make it hard for them to get to the neutral zone, and push them around and bully them. Get the hell out of here. I want nothing to do with that crap anymore. I want offense. The teams that win the cup have a top 5 offense every year, and they get some good D and goaltend to go with it. Tortorella is never getting you that. He's just an old dinosaur in this league. Get that crap out of here. I want an offensive-minded coach who something out of Colorado, Vegas, Winnipeg, Florida. Get me their style of offense to go with these new young players we got coming in for all these trades.
Completely agree, Kurt. Yeah, I don't know about Kurt's people. I'm sorry, Torts. People are also talking about Mike Sullivan, but I mean, I'd really like to see something new. Of course, the ideal situation is we hire a capable GM and then he hires his guy, and that guy's the right guy. Real quick, just a little scoring update for all you Flyers fans tonight, as every Bruins fan should be. They are up 1-0. 1-0. So that's good news for us. Go Flyers tonight.
And Kurt, we need it to be so ugly. If they can lose every game like the last, what would it be? 14 games or something? How does Sweeney not get fired? I mean, we need it to get as ugly as possible, not just to get that 4th overall pick, because Kurt, we talked about it. Bruins actually have a good shot to get the 4th pick in the lot, like the 4th slot in the lottery. There's a good chance they can get the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round pick, overall pick. So we could get 4, and guess what, Kurt? There's 4 blue chip centers coming in this draft. Supposedly the best players are defensemen. And if he goes number 1, and we get stuck at 4, that means there's going to be 2 top-notch centers for us to choose from at number 4. We cannot have Sweeney touch those. We cannot have him put his disgusting dumpster juice fingers on that pick. Get that guy out of my freaking face. We need to get as ugly as possible, so Sweeney has to get fired.
Kurt is pushing the Tortorella agenda here. He pushes the forecheck. Typically, it creates more offense. So there you go, Dad, in your face. I'm going to side with Kurt there. Go Flyers. And Eddie Shore, old-time hockey, had to get the Slapshot reference in. I've actually never seen Slapshot. I got to see that movie. I feel like that's a shameful thing. I don't even know if I should admit that.
I actually should get arrested for child neglect, child abuse, borderline. You've never seen Slapshot? I did not do my job as a parent.
There you
I
go.
did not do my job as a parent. I am so sorry. We'll have to watch it together, Matt, when the my grandbabies go to sleep, and we'll watch that sometime.
Ovi needs
Kurt,
5 to
Kurt
break record. He might do it
yeah,
against Swayman. I seriously, like, what's the last game Swayman was in net for? Was that it was the Detroit game? 1 shot, 1 goal. I mean,
keep them
Mister
in.
Mister
Keep that man in.
8.25. What an absolute embarrassment. 8 more years of that, or 7 more years of that. I don't know what the actual. And Kurt, if Sweeney was smart, he'd pick your kids. Because right now, what Sweeney's doing is he's picking these Chara sized guys that are playing for BC that can't put up a point all year. No kids for that one,
I
Matt.
don't know if you heard the show last week, but you know what my new nickname for Swayman is? Mac Jones, baby. He's a new Mac Jones.
Tank
Setting
Commander.
games on fire single-handedly all by himself to get us a better draft pick, just like Mac Jones did. People get pissed at Mac Jones? Hell no. Mac Jones did his job. He set games on fire, which gave us Drake May in that number 3 pick. Swayman is the new Mac Jones. Set all these Bruins games on fire. Get us in that 4th spot in the lottery. Thank you, Swayman. Keep him in goal.
All right, I got some homework. I got to try and find time to watch Snapshot. Oh no, that was meant as Fire Sweeney. Yeah, and you got Swayman. 3.1 goals against and 8.893 save percentage. That is like my dad when he played goalie in floor hockey stats right there. I think we're pretty close to it. That's some really bad stats, and I'd have to look at comparison price for performance compared to the other goalies making that much money in the NHL right now. It's almost like it's like scaring me. Is it turning into almost like a Carey Price situation where you're going to have this albatross of a contract on your roster forever and never actually turn into anything? But
I think he's
yeah,
going to be fine. It's just not this year. He's still young. He's still super talented. Don't forget
what's
how
up,
good he
Tim?
was in the playoffs last year. So I haven't given up on him yet. But we don't want him turning it around this for the rest of this season. That's for
Correct.
damn sure.
We need everybody to lay an egg for a little bit. Tim, another Bruins guy. Tim, we talked so much about the Bruins. There's a lot to talk about. Most of it is depressing. Don't you dare trash my Sway. He knows the assignment. Listen, maybe
Mac Jones Swayman. He is. He's
yeah.
doing his job. Like Belichick said, he's doing his job.
His paychecks, a little extra bonuses. I mean, him and Corpuzalo are putting together a tanking masterclass. I mean, it almost looks intentional sometimes, just how bad we're losing to some really bad teams, which I don't
Guys,
mind.
there's good news on the horizon. This Melton kid is doing great in Providence, and this Zella kid is setting records. The guy who was taken in the 3rd round, like last year, that the Avalanche gave up to us, along with the 2nd round pick, he's playing. That kid looks like a legit possible stud. So, we get this 4th overall pick and a true number 1 center, future number 1 center. We could be back. We could be back to contending 2 years from now, like legit cup contending. Next year, might not make the playoffs next year, might squeak in. I don't know if our defensive core is still pretty good. Swayman gets back on his game. And we do have cap space if we pick up a good free agent. So that's not out of the realm of possibilities. But guys, I'm talking about being the next Colorado Avalanche, the next possible Edmonton Oilers in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed. There's definitely one thing that we learned at this trade deadline is that it seems like we're going to do some amount of effort in getting speed. Gus's speed.
Freaking Gus.
He's
stealing the spotlight. It's old bull in young Cav Gus, not
go.
Gus and those 2 guys.
Gus is the man.
All right,
he's a good boy.
It's like he's so cute.
Yeah. Listen,
ticking me off.
I know, and you know what the toughest part right now as a New England sports fan is I'm trying to pick out collars and stuff for my dog, but it's like, do I really want to put a Patriot collar on him right now? I like my dog too much to put a Patriot collar on him. Do I really want to get a Bruins leash right now? No, I don't want to get a Bruins leash. I like my dog too much. Everything's Celtics. We got Celtics collars, Celtics leashes, because they're the only team it really feels comfortable to rep right now in public. If Marchand doesn't
Tim,
resign, go ahead.
Is he talking about Swayman? Is he Swayman on like win number 99? Is that what he's talking about?
That's what I was gonna look up. I'd have to double check how many wins Swayman had.
Oh, Tim, is that what you mean? We'll have to look at that. Yeah, I don't want any more wins this year. If Marchand doesn't re-sign with Florida in the offseason, do you want him back next year? Uh I don't. No, because I want his top 6 spot to go to Minton, Zellers, Patras, Lysel, any one of those guys. I don't want Marchand back another year older, coming off of 2 hip surgeries, and taking another beating through another playoff. Florida's probably going to make it far in the playoffs. He's going to be beat up even more. I don't, and he's probably going to want $6 million a year. No, I don't want as much. I just don't want him back. I love the guy. I appreciate everything he did. We ripped that Band-Aid off once, people. Let's not put it back on to rip it off again to get rid of him next year.
And it's just like Al Horford, right? Like, we can't give Brad Marchand what Florida's giving him right now, right? 15, 14 minutes per game, not a ton of ice time. Like, kind of a bonus versus a centerpiece. We almost need him to be a centerpiece for, what he's been to this franchise. It's hard for him to come and slide back into a lesser role because of who he is, right?
Yeah, if Marchand wants to take like $2 million a year and play on the third line, okay, I'll take that. He's not taking that. Sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's that's what makes sense. Colorado just entry level Maker's brother. Kurt, we're gonna have you on for the draft talk. It seems like you and Pete you keep very in tune to the different prospects. My dog has a Bruins collar and a Celtics scarf. Good, as long as the scarf is covering the collar. And right now, maybe next season you could take the scarf and maybe shift a little bit so people can see. But for now, give the poor dog a break. Did you see Florida fans throw rats on the ice after his game-winning assist? I did not see that, Tim. But I know that that line, the Sam
good.
Bennett, Kachuk, Marchand line, it's like the most ratty line in NHL history. People are been making fun of it. I love Marshy. Yeah. But I agree. I think it's ready to move on and hopefully stay moved on. Also, not the best captain we've had. I mean, that's one of those things where it's like not the best captain we have. You think that's a big statement, and then you think about the captains we have had, and it's like, okay, well, actually, it's a pretty high bar. It's
yeah,
but yeah, he was not it from a captain perspective. And what if you can get Marsh and Bennett back? What do we just? I don't know if I'd take Bennett. I'd have to look into Bennett to figure out if he's actually like a dink, like a bad person, or is he just annoying like NHL player? Maybe I would take him.
He's one of those guys everyone thought like if he was on your team, you'd love him. And that's true here. If he was a Bruin, we'd love him. That dude is a hated scumbag playing for Florida. And nobody spit more hate at that guy than I did those last 2 series against Florida, the past 2 seasons. I can't stand that guy. If he came to the Bruins, we would love him. But I'm thinking future, guys. That 4th overall pick is going to go to our future number 1 center. Probably not going to play next year. Definitely would play the year after. Guys in the top 5 can play the following year. That does happen. So it's possible. But to me, I want Patras getting real center minutes. Elias Lindholm belongs on the second as a second center. Is Patras ready to be a number 1 center next year? I don't know. But so if we bring in Bennett, who out of him and Patras back to third line center where he's going to have bums? I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the old bull, of course, just disconnected. He had a bit of a blip there, so it's just me and you guys right now. By the way, don't want to touch Tortorella with the 100-foot pole. Talk about a way to destroy a team culture. Tortorella, it's just one of these. I don't know why hockey does this, but hockey and upcoming coaches just seem to not mix, and you just end up with this revolving door of coaches. And you see this with Montgomery, and I think one thing my buddy Andrew highlighted was that the St. Louis Blues are on one of the best hot streaks since the All-Star break. I don't know if that's true or not. I gotta freaking find him. Oh yeah, they've won 9 in a row. So you got our coach headed over to the St. Louis Blues in Montgomery, and they're absolutely streaking right now, vying for a playoff run. Still better than Cousins. I I'll take Sam Bennett. I'll definitely. I don't know how old Sam Bennett is. I don't know how much it would cost to bring him over here. But for, at least for now, we are seemingly have enough young talent where we can get these larger contracts and not feel it too bad when it comes to our younger talent in Patra, hopefully Minton, and these other guys. I don't know what the timeline is for those guys in their contracts, but I don't know. Let me back in, Matt. Here we are. Here comes the old bull. He's back in. A little bit of a connection
Sorry about
thing.
that.
Tim doesn't want Tortorella either. So again, Tim ingratiating himself
Thank
with
you.
the old bull a little bit more with his takes. He likes it.
Mm-hmm.
More
Yeah,
smoothie.
Bennett's only like 28. He's not that old. He's
Did
not
you
he's not as good of a scorer as people think though. He averages like 18 to 20 goals a season. So he's not like a high powered center either.
did you hear what I said about the St. Louis Blues?
No, what about him?
They are at 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 9
Cool.
straight games. They are definitely pushing for a playoff spot right now, scorching hot. And that's of course with
Blues,
Monty
huh?
at the helm right now.
Yes, of course.
They've lost three
Oh boy.
times. They've lost 3 times since February 23rd. Otherwise, they've gone on a 4-game win streak, a 2-game win streak, and now a 9-game win streak.
Can you
Absolute.
imagine if the last two Bruins coaches win Stanley Cups? Holy cannoli.
What is it like with
Wow.
hockey, right? I mean, you get hot at the end of the year, and I think that usually dictates
Yeah.
who wins the cup. Anybody from 1 through 8 can win the cup on either side of the bracket. So
Yep.
I wouldn't put it past
True.
them. Would not put it past them. And you know what?
Yeah.
We've already been hurt once, so it is what it is if it happens again.
Yep. Tim, you're right. Sweeney we needed to go. I
Yeah.
mean, not necessarily Monty, although
Yeah.
Monty was not doing a great job either. But Sweeney's at the root of all of it. He really is. And, we just need things to get as bad as possible. So they're like, we can't bring him back. We can't let him touch these. We actually have draft capital now. You know how long it's been since the Bruins have had legit draft capital? Because we've traded so many draft picks at the trade deadline, which we wanted to do to make cup runs. But now we got the cupboard full again after that fire sale. We cannot have Sweeney pick these players. Like, someone needs to be an adult and step up and go, what are we doing here? No, Sweeney cannot touch these players. Neely, get rid of Sweeney or I'm getting rid of you too. The Jacobs need to do that.
Yep. No, I agree, especially after this much time, right? With the Sweeney project, I think they can say they've given a ton of time to, a ton of legs to, and maybe restarting. And there's no better time than to restart right now. Like you said, we got all the draft capital. The last couple of years has been kind of difficult because of how much we went in the trade deadline a couple of years ago. But now we got everything. We got our picks. We have more picks going forward. I think Monty checked out because Sweeney screwed him. Wouldn't re-sign him and have him an egg of a lineup. Yeah, I agree.
Maybe. That could be the case. Absolutely. That's definitely possible.
Yep. So listen, we're over an hour in. I think it's probably time to wrap up. Dad, do you have any final thoughts on anything?
Nope. I don't think I do. We'll talk about Celtics come along. Maybe we start doing some short pregame and postgame like we did before. Not like the Bruins and the Patriots. Like, we get our Bruins and Patriots listeners, they're always game ready to go. The Celtics are just so good, no one wants to talk about them until the playoffs start. So we get that. So we'll be giving you updates on that. And again, we got some fun shows coming up. We're going to be doing a possible mock draft from beginning to end. We might redo the segment we did a couple weeks ago. It was really fun. My son came up with the draft simulator. That was an absolute blast. So, and keep following some of these players are rising. Some of them are falling. And, there's a rumor out there, Dak Prescott for the number 2 pick so they can get Shadir Sanders. Man, talk about that'd be gold, because then one of those two guys are going to be there at 4, Hunter or Carter. So that would be amazing. So we'll see.
All right, I know at least the Wookiee guy is my dad's buddy, so Kurt's messing around.
Oh, Dave Anger too. It was both my buddies. Absolutely.
Hey, and listen, Tim, Theo would 100% do a better job than Sweeney. So what's up, Theo? And if Bennett does put the puck in the back of the net, I cannot, you know, be counter to that. I want my son to watch good teams. I want my son to fall in love with these teams. It's really hard when they suck so bad. For some reason, my son still likes to watch football, in spite of the fact that really in his own cognitive memory, he's only seen like 4 or 5 Patriot wins, and all of them have been wins we really shouldn't even have had. So, but he still loves them. So hopefully the teams become good. We can actually get some string of success going forward. But yeah, I hope everybody has a good rest of their week. And we'll be back on Monday. We got a few more of these, rumor-based podcasts before things start to really heat up with the draft and the NBA playoffs. But we're excited to get there, right, Dad?
Absolutely. It's going to be fun. And we didn't even talk about Stephon Diggs.
That's your
What are you
fault.
doing?
That's okay.
Ah,
Next week we'll talk about Stephon Diggs
big
and how awesome that
Patriots
is.
signing. Damn it. All right. We'll have to touch on him next week.
All right. I hope everybody has a good rest of their week. Bye-bye. And now I'm going to count down to 5.
Please like and comment on YouTube. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Wait for me.